record, the time is 2:14 p.m.
Mr. Wong, before the break, I had asked you about what looks like a discrepancy between the figures that are listed on the first page of Exhibit 15 and then the highlighted figure on the second page. Can you provide any explanation for that?
Ed cannot right now.
Would it require you to speculate at this point? Or are there some more likely reasons that you can give me?
No, I just cannot recall the financial report transfer amount. I'd have to review our notes.
Can you tell me if there have been any other transfers that were made out of the JFOF and into the general fund in 2021 other than those that are reflected on the first page of Exhibit 15?
I do not think so.
Would an adjustment to this line affect the ending balance line item?
Yes, yes.
So it looks like you guys recently published the board packet for August?
Came out yesterday.
Yeah. And I'm looking at the same sheet. I don't have it. I can print it out if you want, but since this was just done, this is for the August 23, 2022 board meeting. And I'm looking at the 2019 actual beginning balance, and it's back down to 18 million. So that $5 million increase from July is now evaporated. Can you tell me why that is?
Yeah, and can't say right off the top of my head.
Did you prepare? Let me print this out. I think that would be easier rather than representing what I have here. Let's go off the record.
Thank you.
The time is 2:17. And on the record, the time is 2:21 p.m.
Next in order, please. All right, Mr. Wong, Exhibit 16 is in front of you, and this is the August 23, 2022 version of the same document we've been looking at throughout today, correct?
Correct.
All right.
I'm sorry. The same kind of document.
Kind of document, not the same. Yeah, it's obviously for a different time period, though, right? We've looked
Right.
at June and July in detail so far. Now this
Right.
is the August one, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, if you look at the 2019 actual, the beginning balance is back down to 18 instead of the $23 million number. You see that?
Correct.
So in 1 month, that number dropped. It went up 5 million and then dropped 5 million. Why?
Again, that's my balancing number to get to the ending year 2021 actual, which does reconcile to the audited financial report.
How does it go up $5 million in 1 month and then down again the month after?
That I don't have detailed out.
So if you look at Exhibit 13, that was the June board meeting number. See that?
Correct.
So that's the 2019 actual. There is 18,653,584. And then if you look at 16, Exhibit 16 for the August board meeting, it's 18,569,773. within $100,000 of the June numbers, right?
Correct.
I understand you said it helps to reconcile with the audited financials, but how does $5 million show up one month and then vanish again?
It's to reconcile to the 2021 actual audited financial numbers.
So it's a temporary change?
The beginning balance in 2019 is my balancing figure in order to make that happen.
So is this accounting gymnastics?
I wouldn't call it that. It's just an effort to make this spreadsheet, this set of documents, useful information to our board.
So once again, if I'm a board member, what do I make of the fact that the 2019 actual beginning balance has so wildly changed over the course of multiple times over the course of 3 months?
It's in order to properly represent the dollars available for future revenues and expenses analysis.
So shouldn't I be concerned if I'm a board member that $5 million came and went in the span of a month?
It was the adjustment necessary in order to get the 2021 actual numbers to balance to the audited financial report.
So maybe what you're saying is it's worthless to me as a board member. It doesn't tell me anything. Is that the answer?
That particular number is not helpful to you as a board member.
It doesn't tell me that we had $5 million more to spend and all of a sudden went away.
Correct.
But I thought that's what you told me the purpose of the adjustment was to figure out how much you have available to spend.
As of 2021 and going forward.
So I think before you said I can just ignore that number in 2019 because it's not really helpful to me. Is that right?
Correct.
So why make the adjustment at all?
In order for the numbers to flow through to the 2021 actual number.
All right, looking back at Exhibit 16, which is the August board packet snapshot that we've been looking at. And it shows the ending balance for 2021, the actual at 36 million and change.
Correct.
And previously we looked at that exact same figure as the 2021 estimated ending balance in the July packet, right?
Okay.
Exhibit 14, highlighted number.
Correct.
Same number as the actual and the estimated for 2021 ending balance, right?
Correct.
And this is after the audit for 2021, right?
Audit is now complete.
Right. So now I can take that number at 36 million and change and say that was the ending balance for 2021, right?
Correct.
So why can't I use that number and deduct one second. Deduct the $20 million required reserve balance and end up with the $16 million available for payout?
Because that number is not a valid number for in accordance with accounting standards. This is a number, it's a cash number indicating cash available for expenses and capital improvements.
But what about the $20 million reserve number? Is that a real number?
It's a calculated number, and I'm not sure which 20 million you're talking about.
The reserve.
The reserve number is a calculated number, yes.
Right, but also so is the $36 million ending balance. That's a calculated number that you came up with.
Correct.
So why, again, can't I take those two calculated numbers and take the difference and say that's the amount that's available for distribution?
Objection asked and answered.
It's my interpretation that a better method of determining net revenue is to wait for the audited annual financial report, which properly projects and and has been evaluated in terms of revenues and expenses and includes all revenues and expenses and deferred inflows and deferred outflows, takes the whole agency into consideration for coming into, and the Joint Facilities Fund to determine a net revenue amount. This amount does not include the full picture of all financial activities of the Joint Facilities Fund, nor the whole agency at that point.
Is this number going to change, the ending balance? When I say this
For-
number, Exhibit 16, the $36 million ending balance 2021 actual figure.
I do not think so. I guess I reserve the right at some point, if something comes up that makes sense, that perhaps a change may be necessary, but I do not anticipate making any more changes to that number.
Because the audit's done, right?
Correct.
Does the ending balance reflect the amount available, including the reserve?
Yes.
Next in order.
What are we on now?
17.
Okay, so Exhibit 17 is back looking at the July board meeting. Can I just call this a snapshot or a dashboard? What would you call it?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
What do you call this document?
Financial report,
Okay,
or
So we're-
monthly financial report.
we're looking at the financial report for the July meeting. We've looked at this many times over, but there's a different highlighted number here. And this is in reference to the 2021 estimated general fund overhead. You see that?
Yes.
Who performs this calculation?
I do.
And does that amount change?
Yes. Yes, I'm sorry.
What is it based on? How does it change?
Well, it changes every year based on expenses in our administration department and our IT department, split based on personnel and number of workstations.
Tell me how you do the split.
Looks like you've got it on the attachment to it. Total cost for those two departments, and then there's an allocation based either on Power Division personnel or, again, the number of workstations in the case of our IT department.
Okay, so is the calculation for the general fund overhead work paper maintained?
General fund overhead. It's a spreadsheet which you have.
That's the second page?
Yes,
Okay. That is the work paper?
correct.
All right, so let's talk about, the first one is Department 50, General Admin. What costs are included in this department?
General agency administrative costs, which would include general manager, myself, and some of the finance department personnel.
So we're talking salaries?
Salaries, yes. Also, utilities and supplies.
Why is the water division manager and benefits removed from the calculation?
In that year, 2019, and in prior years, the water division manager, while charging his time to the general administration account, Department 50, he did not do, would not be involved or was not involved with joint facilities activity.
That's why he's removed entirely.
Correct.
And then what about the WDM benefits, 50%?
That's the related benefits.
Why is 50% of it removed?
It's also removed because that's part of the cost of salaries. So as direct salary is reported, and then there's associated benefits as well.
Oh, okay. But how did you get to the 50%?
Analysis of benefit costs,
What are you analyzing?
retirement, health insurance, time off.
But the 50% figure, is that reflective of 50% of that is charged to the general fund and 50% to the joint facilities?
The 50% for this overhead calculation is also deducted because those benefit charges are included in the top line, in the total general administrative expenses.
How did you get to the 50% though?
It was an analysis. It could have been 51, 52, could have been 48, 49. It wasn't exact.
That's an
How-
estimate.
It is an estimate. However, other employees at the water division manager level, per detailed analysis, work out to between 48 and 52%.
So maybe, let me go to the next one, and hopefully this will help me understand a little better. Do I understand the 35.6% next to the power division personnel to be a reflection that 35.6% of the power division personnel that is charged to South Feather is allocated to the joint facilities account?
That was a count of number of personnel, power division versus the total agency.
So it's as simple as that. You take the total agency cost and you figure out how many people are working strictly for the joint facilities?
Correct.
And are these people who are full-time for the joint facilities?
Correct. And it is as simple as that.
Okay. So same thing going down to Department 58 IT. There are 48.3% of the workstations allocated to the joint facilities. And is that based on the number of people at these workstations who work full-time for the joint facilities versus the general fund?
Not people, it's workstations.
So walk me through that.
It's the workstations assigned in the power division.
What is a workstation?
Why, that definition came from my IT guy, from my IT manager. So I asked him, how many workstations are at power division and how many in general fund?
Who works at the workstations?
Usually you would assume power division personnel.
So did you verify this, or did you ask somebody else and just took the information and plugged it into a calculation?
Oh,
Calculation.
no, that number's from the IT manager.
Council, can we take a quick break?
I'd like to keep getting through this.
Do you have a natural breaking point, or do you want to just go to the end? Or what?
We're getting closer to that.
Okay.
Is there anything else you can tell me about how the allocation was done at 48.3%?
I thought it was pretty straightforward, so.
All right. And have you told me all the reasons why this amount of cost is allocated to the joint facilities?
It's their share.
Based on your talking to the IT manager?
Correct, yeah.
Is this the last exhibit?
We're getting close.
Will there be time for a break before the end?
Do you need to use the restroom or something? We just had a break. In fact, two of them in quick succession.
Just want to confer with my client.
Is there a privilege issue?
No.
Okay, then let's keep going. $18? All right, can you tell me what Exhibit 18 is, Mr. Wong?
Joint Facilities Operating Fund Financial Report, July 26, 2022 Board Meeting, page 6 of 8.
And then the second page is an excerpt from what? Is this the financial report? Or the audit?
It is.
Which one?
Year ended December 31st, 2021.
The audit? Or the financial report? Or is that the same thing?
Same thing.
Okay. All right, so the 2019 install purchase agreement principal is reflected here. Remind me who are the parties to the install purchase agreement?
Ultimately, the bank was Signature Bank.
So is this the PG&E loan?
Well, there's an agreement with the Signature Bank, which was used to pay off satisfy the PG&E loan.
Understood. Okay. Can you tell me why this document reflects that $5,875,907 in principal and roughly $230,000 of interest were paid in 2021 on the 2019 agreement?
Those were the expenses recognized in 2021.
What does that mean?
That means for this document, we subtracted those dollars from being available for expenditure in 2022.
Were they actually paid in 2021?
The actual payment for most of it, as you see on the second page of your attachment, was paid on April 1st, 2022.
And that's the accelerated prepayment that we talked about.
Correct.
So why the discrepancy between, or I guess was that additional amounts on the first page that were paid?
2021 includes this $4,400,000 that was the prepayment arrangement satisfying, but the 2021 number, page 6 of 18, includes the actual 2021 expenses, cash dispersed,
So was that the payoff amount plus the other payment that was made?
plus the regularly scheduled
Yeah,
payments in
okay.
2021.
All right. So at the close of 2021, there was still outstanding debt, correct?
Correct.
And yet, South Feather still authorized a distribution related to the 2021 year, right?
Correct.
Did South Feather receive a check in the same dollar amount that North Yuba did on July 27, 2022?
We made a transfer. We don't write checks to each other, but
Right,
we
so-
transfer money out of JFOF, and it may have been a day or two, one way or the other.
Is there a public record of that transfer?
No, only to the extent we make monthly financial reports.
So I would have to would I look at the board packet and see that there was a line item for money out from one account to the other?
It is included, yes.
And again, the dollar amount was the same that was given to North Yuba?
Correct.
So when we look at the check that was written to North Yuba on the 27th of July, it's 50% distribution for net revenues of the 2021 Joint Facilities Operating Fund. Can you tell me the main sources of revenue that went into that calculation?
Hydro power generation revenue and water transfer revenue.
So water sales, basically?
Yeah.
Do South Feather's financials break down the water sales anywhere to indicate the specific sales?
We have a line item or an account for water sales.
And does that break down, for instance, if we wanted to figure out how much was from the Santa Clara Valley Water District sale, is that find outable based on the financials that South Feather provides?
It is find outable. It is not necessarily spelled out directly in the financial reports.
Right, what I see in the financial reports is a gross number totaling all the water sales, right?
Correct.
So how would I figure out the value of the different water sales and how much was related to each?
In our case, it was the one water sale.
The one I just mentioned?
Right.
So that was the only one
Right.
that related to the 2021 year?
Correct.
Okay. In other years where there's multiple sales, is that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So I can safely assume that any dollars that are associated with water sales is related to that Santa Clara Valley Water District sale.
You can, except I hesitate, I'm sorry. For Joint Facilities Operating Fund, yes, you can. My hesitation was North Yuba has a water sale that goes to Yuba City, and those dollars show up sooner or later, but they go to our general fund.
Does South Feather maintain a list of, let me just give an example, people who are qualified to run the hydropower and dams that are associated just with the joint facilities?
Objection beyond the scope of the notice, but you may answer this to your memory and knowledge.
Do we maintain a list
Yeah, how would I
of
figure out?
qualified individuals?
You have a calculation you do to allocate
Oh.
personnel between the general fund and the joint facilities.
Right,
How would I
okay.
figure out who these people are that are being allocated to the joint facilities?
Oh, correct. We have two lists. One is joint facilities, one is general fund.
Where would I find that list? Is that publicly available?
Not broken down. We keep it internally with each payroll. Now, each employee is listed, and that's public. Well, each position is publicly available. And it is also publicly available by position, not necessarily by name.
Right, but if I wanted to get down in the nitty-gritty here and audit
That
everyone's
allocation.
tasks, yeah,
I'm sorry.
there is a list that you maintain that would allow me to do that?
Yes.
Okay. And that's the same for any job descriptions for people whose jobs are allocated towards the JVOF, right?
Yes.
Did you have any disagreements with anything that the auditors found for 2021 year?
Nothing substantial.
Anything, well, tell me the disagreements you did have.
Objection foundation.
We would disagree. Well, trying to think if we had many. But I guess I reserved the right to say, yeah, we weren't perfect, and they weren't perfect.
Well, you
so
said-
we would ask questions of each other.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. You said not substantial, which in my mind indicated that you had some insubstantial disagreements.
Objection to state's testimony. Let's let him explain.
In my world, that's just part of the process,
So nothing that comes to mind?
but nothing comes to mind.
Okay. Let's go off the record. Let me just review my notes, see if I got anything else.
One off the record, the time is 2:50. Going on the record, the time is 3 p.m.
Steve, would you like to explain one of your previous answers regarding workstations?
Exactly. This is with regards to workstations and the percentage and the allocation. Recognize that a number of workstations are set up remotely, very not necessarily tied to personnel for data acquisition and control so that the system can be monitored and controlled and regulated remotely. Just to add to why there would be more workstations compared with number of people.
Okay. We're done.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're done?
Going off the record, the time is 3:01.